The following contains information which some audience members may disagree with, as it does not fall in line with all teachings of the Catholic Church or other Christian denominations. Viewer discretion is advised. Milling Through History presents the James Ossuary. What is an ossuary? This is a stone box, usually made from limestone, which holds the bones of a deceased Jewish person from the 1st century. These boxes were used from approximately 20 BC to around 70 AD. Now, some people might say to themselves, what is the James Ossuary and why is it so important? Well, it's important because of an inscription that was found on the side of the box. It reads, James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. Now, this may seem as a shock and automatically brings up the next question. Is this real? According to the owner, Oded Golan, the box and the inscription are both genuine. He had purchased this particular antiquity from an Arab Bedouin. However, the Israeli Antiquity Authority claimed that the box, while being real, is subject to a forgery, as the inscription is not. And scholarly debate continues to go on about that inscription. Camille Fuchs, a statistical professor at Tel Aviv University, supported the legitimacy of the ossuary and noted that while mentioning the name of the father, that being Joseph, on an ossuary was quite common during the 1st century of the Common Era, to have a sibling added onto it was extremely rare, indicating that not only was the person in the box related to the sibling, but the sibling was extremely important. Now, she also pointed out that the odds of having those 3 names, Jesus, Joseph, and James, on a box on one spot from the 1st century makes it even more likely that it was legitimate. In doing an investigation on this particular box, forensic evidence has shown that the inscription about Jesus being the brother of the person buried inside the ossuary box was very much legitimate. However, the first half, James, son of Joseph, was actually cut deeper into the stone, which led many people to speculate that was a forgery. Now, experts believe that the quality of the limestone may have been very different as to the part where the Jesus name is mentioned, and therefore might have required more cutting. Now, the Israeli Antiquity Authority appointed a committee to examine the box and come up with their own conclusions. However, many scholars have pointed out that this committee was biased, with experts who began exiting their own field and making their own beliefs and opinions outside of their own scope of expertise. And therefore, it was a biased judgment that said that the inscription was a forgery. Now, 2 transcribers, André Lemaire and Ada Yardeni, both authenticated the inscription and said it was legitimate. And even history itself does have another source. Flavius Josephus wrote about the death of James, and in it he had talked about how James was the brother of Jesus, the so-called Christ. As such, Josephus does even make light of the fact that there seems to be a real piece of evidence there. So, if the box is considered legitimate, why is it so controversial? Well, perhaps the biggest part of it is it calls into question whether or not the Virgin Mary was actually a virgin for her entire life. Scholars who read the Bible cite how the Gospels do indicate Jesus had brothers and sisters. Catholic scholars say that the term brother and sister is really meant to relate towards cousins or close friendships. Meanwhile, non-Catholic scholars say that when translating the Gospels from their original Greek, this is actually meaning direct blood relative, brother and sister. Another issue which would go ahead and certainly make this very controversial is that if the box and the inscription are both proven to be 100% legitimate, this would be the first ever concrete piece of evidence to prove that Jesus of Nazareth actually existed. Now, whether or not you, the listener and viewer of this program, believe that the James Ossuary is the bone box of a sibling to Jesus is something that you yourself will have to come up and decide with. Until more evidence has been brought forward, everyone will go ahead and have to take a leap of faith as to whether or not this is the first and only concrete proof of evidence that says Jesus was not only a real person, but had a much larger family than anyone would have ever thought. Be sure to click like, share, and subscribe for future episodes of Milling Through History, and leave comments below giving us future episode ideas.